All right, we're back. More gloves are off. We'll keep moving on to the theme. This time, the CFL and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Well, 2 points ahead of Edmonton. Could have been 6 points, but didn't happen that way. The 37-20 win for the Esks. Now they're in third, and that's the Riders. And fourth right now is the Esks. The Esks do have the crossover, so they are in the playoffs in the East. Question for you guys: if the playoffs started today, who would have a better path to the Grey Cup? Would it be the Riders or the Esks? Because you look at the East, looks kind of weak, right?
Yes. Well, the easiest path would definitely be come through the East. But if you ask both teams, I bet you both teams are going to want to go through the West. Through their own division, they're going to want to take out Calgary, Riders, Lions. You know, if going through the East, you got Toronto weak, Hamilton weak, Winnipeg's weak. Yeah, you're going to want to come through your own division on your way to the Grey Cup.
And, you know, everyone said the East would be weak if you want to go through there, but when's the last time a crossover team's won in the East?
Edmonton a few years ago.
Yeah,
but
like before that was the first time,
No,
right?
it's very hard, yeah.
But you got all that travel you got to go through, right? And then at the end you got Montreal, who's not as good as they are this year, but they're usually the best team when it comes playoff time. But I'd rather stick to the West because, like you said, you got the division teams. No, everyone likes to beat Calgary. Everyone likes to beat BC. The West, much easier to go through. East, you got to do all that traveling. Plus,
much easier to go through the West.
Absolutely, because you always get up for those games, right? Because you play those guys.
But I don't think it's easier. I think that's a tougher road because you arguably have two teams that
you
are
get up
better
for those games. You
than
get
the
up for those
Montreal
games.
West.
It's playoffs. You got to get up for those games. It's against your rivals when you go down East. You know, it's still playoffs. You still get up for those games. Not as much, you know, there. But when you play those West teams, you want to beat those teams. Because at the end of the day, those are the best teams in the West. And to be the best, you got to beat the best.
All right, let's talk about we'll talk about the New England Patriots. We'll start with you, Tanner. You talk about to be the best, you got to beat the best. Seattle, phenomenal job beating the New England Patriots. Tom Brady throwing 2 picks, first time in a long time, really. Then you got to look at the performance of that defense, and then of course Russell Wilson, who threw those great bombs, one to Brilliant Edwards and the other one to Rice. You guys, I want to ask this, and we'll start with you, Tanner. Who's the story of the game? Was it Russell Wilson's good play, Tom Brady's bad play, or that Seattle's defense?
Yeah, well, Seattle's defense has been awesome all year. But Russell Wilson, 3 touchdowns. He threw for 300 yards, no picks. For me, like, he was definitely the story of that game. Yeah. You know, Brady still threw for 400 yards, but he had 2 picks, right? So Seattle's defense still gave up 400 yards passing.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of everything. Everything just gelled for Seattle. Seattle's defense is just phenomenal at home. Their fans are unreal. They're kind of like the Rider fans. Loud, get into the game. Russell Wilson against Tom Brady, you know, that's not an easy task. Wilson stepping up and throwing that bomb in the 4th quarter to win it. And Tom Brady, just uncharacteristic, 2 picks. Not really himself this year. I think it's just a little bit of everything that was that went for Seattle.
Yeah, it was a big one. We'll kind of move on to the other teams out there in the NFL. Of course, you had the Pack, who looked like they're back. Great performance there by Aaron Rodgers with 6 touchdown passes. Of course, you still have Houston, who were supposed to be a good team, now fall to 5-1 and a little bit questionable. But you have the Atlanta Falcons at 6-0. Do you guys see the Falcons as a team that is the best right now, despite their undefeated record?
No, they're 6-0. They're the best. Matty Ice coming clutch at the end of the games, setting up drives. Bryant kicking the field goals to win it. They got Rodney White. They got Turner. They're the whole package this year.
They got players, but the thing is, are they a good team? You could look at other teams and say they got players, but they're not playing well. Your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, it's hard to argue that they're not. You know, they're 6-0. The other teams have had a loss. You know, Matt Ryan's playing good. He didn't play too bad last game, but yeah, I mean, they're stacked. Their defense is playing well, and they're undefeated. Like, so
they're 6-0. They're getting the job done. They're the best.
Yeah, well, statistically, but you don't feel that these teams, like say for example, they are 6-0, but yet the way they have played hasn't been the greatest. I guess maybe they find ways to win. That's one thing.
That's what makes great teams.
But Ryan has kind of struggled a little bit here and there. Does that worry you at all?
No.
If you were Atlanta, if you were a Falcons fan, if you were Atlanta,
they're sitting pretty right now.
I think so. I think they got a few losses coming up here, but as it stands right now, they're undefeated. So I would have to say that they're probably, you know, the best team right now. But the Texans, they're gonna, you know, I think they're gonna make some things happen here. Green Bay's starting to get hot. Can never count out the Giants, so you'll see.
Yeah, the Giants had a great performance in San Francisco, obliterating the 49ers. Let's move on to a player that's obliterated a team, and that was the Minnesota Vikings, RG3. What can you say about his performance Sunday and what he's done up to this point? Young career, great job.
He's the best. Everyone laughed at me when I drafted him early in the fantasy draft. Everyone laughed at me, and he's the best player right now. He's unreal what he does with his legs, and after taking that hit last week and bouncing back, he almost rushed for the amount of yards as he threw, which is phenomenal. He's the man. He's unreal. He should have went #1 overall. I think the Colts kind of screwed up on that one.
Really? Even though I think Andrew Luck's still got time.
He's still good. He's still good. Don't get me wrong, but
we're saying
RG3
RG3 is probably a better product.
Yeah.
What do you say about RG3's progress?
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. I also have RG3 in my fantasy drafts. I do get nervous every time he takes those hits and stuff, but yeah, to get knocked out last game, come back for a run for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I think he threw for 182 yards. Like, I mean, the guy was amazing.
He's the real deal.
Well, you guys are fantasy owners. Of course you'd be bumping him up. Why wouldn't you?
Even if he wasn't on my team,
I will say this. That's fair.
Good.
He's done a great job. That's no question about it. That's for sure. And definitely a guy that we'll have to watch for many years to come. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with Over Under.